Welcome. Can everyone grab their seat? We'll get started. Hello and welcome. My name is David Schaefer. I'm the managing director of the Maltz Museum. We are proud to host tonight's event in partnership with David Malick and Malick Law. David Malick has been a friend of mine for a number of years, so when he approached me about the idea of hosting a public program about the issue of human rights in North Korea, I knew this was going to be something special. And here we all are. Something really special is happening. Our mission as a Museum of Diversity and Tolerance is to share voices of our local and global community that tell stories that break down barriers and overcome obstacles to build a more inclusive society. No project could be a better fit than Ji Sung Ho's story of survival. We learned from our past to understand our present in order to aspire and create a better future. None of this would have been possible without the support of our community partners. Their work inspires me every day, and they are the American Jewish Committee, Anti-Defamation League, Cleveland Council on World Affairs, Cleveland Marshall College of Law, Case Western Reserve University Center for International Affairs, Global Cleveland, and the Jewish Federation of Cleveland Community Relations Committee. David, thank you for your vision, your leadership, and most of all, your friendship. To our guests here this evening, thank you for coming, and please enjoy the program. David, please come to the stage.
The thing about following David is you always have to adjust the mic. I too want to welcome you. We're here to talk about North Korea, but not North Korea in a geopolitical sense. We're here to talk about the people of North Korea. And the people of North Korea are exemplified by Ji Sung Ho, by his actions, by his conduct, by his journey, by his story. I feel compelled to tell you that I feel close to Ji Sung Ho, even only having met him and been with him a few times. We are worlds apart in terms of how we grew up. But my background as a Jew, as being educated as a Jew in this community, to have values of faith, values where you try to do good things for people, you have empathy, and where you have caring, are found in Ji Sung Ho. Two different worlds, two different backgrounds. But this is who he is, and this is what he embodies. And it's one of the reasons we wanted to bring him here. He is very much like most and many of us. Along with Ji Sung Ho is a gentleman named Michael Docupil. And Michael and Ji Sung Ho are a team in their quest to bring information and democracy to North Korea. So how do they do that? First of all, let me tell you, Ji Sung Ho alone has assisted more than 300 defectors to reach South Korea and to reach safety. His 6,000-mile journey is the perfect resume for him to turn his once broken life into a life of giving. He is one of the most heroic people I know, which is one of the reasons I wanted to be involved with the Maltz Museum and with the Everyday Hero program and with David Schaefer. Because the Everyday Hero program talks about being an example of people who made choices to show courage and to show bravery, and that is Ji Sung Ho. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about his story because I don't want to steal the thunder, and I couldn't tell it as well as he can anyhow. Michael Docupil, who you're going to meet, is a businessman from Houston. but he's had a love for North Korea since he lived behind the Iron Curtain. He understands communism. He understands tyranny. And he also understands what it takes to change a country from a totalitarian system into a system where people can live together and think together and make choices and be democratic. He has undertaken a campaign to bring information into North Korea. And forgive me, Michael, for using this word, but he essentially smuggles information into North Korea. And the story is fascinating. He does it through USB drives. He does it by the use of non-detectable receivers that can access satellites over Asia. He's a genius in that sense. Together, he and Ji Sung-ho are changing the face of North Korea. And Michael has all the facts and figures of what it's all about, and I'm thrilled to have them here tonight. I'm going to ask them both to stand up, Ji Sung-ho and Michael Docupil. I'm going to ask Michael to come on stage and frame for you the first part of tonight, which is a video about Ji Sung-ho. Michael?
Thank you, David. And I'm happy to be here in Cleveland, and thank you all for coming out tonight. I wanted to give a little bit of background about North Korea before we'll watch a video about Ji Sung-ho's journey, and then we'll talk with him. So how did I first get interested in North Korea? Well, there's this image of the world at night. I don't know how many of you have seen it, but it's the world at night, and basically everywhere that there are people, there are nice bright lights. And you go to the Korean Peninsula, and South Korea is lit up like a Christmas tree. And actually now you can detect the Chinese border and the river as it flows across the North Korean border. But North Korea blends in with the ocean, despite there being 25 million people there. And why is that? I wanted to understand why is it dark and what goes on in the darkness. What I discovered really horrified me. It is, in my opinion, one of the worst places on the planet. It combines a police state unlike any other that exists today with absolute poverty. As a result, it can be almost cartoonishly bad at times. One of the things that it regularly will rank at the bottom of all of the stats on the basic freedoms. Freedom of the press, it will be the worst country in the world. Freedom of religion, likewise. And in order to maintain this system, it is ruled through an ideology called Juche, which means independence, and it's all based on the Kim family cult of personality. They have designed a system, a caste system, very similar to India's in many regards, but this is based on your loyalty to the regime. There are three aspects to Songbun, three classes. One is the loyal class, one is the wavering class, and one is the hostile class. Just to give you rough numbers, only about 10 or 12% of the population is in the loyal class. Songbun also has the benefit of being one system in which you can only go down, you cannot go up. So if you do something against the regime, you can get lowered, but you can never do anything to raise your loyalty to the regime. And this system governs all aspects of your life. It will determine what city you can live in, whether or not you can travel around the country without extra papers, what school you will attend, where you will be able to work, what kind of work you can do, whether or not you can go to certain schools. All of this is determined by your loyalty to the regime. And I'm just telling you this to give you an idea of how the police state is truly pervasive and oppressive. So the other thing that I think is not commonly appreciated is that if you want to get out of North Korea and leave this place, there's essentially only one way out. The DMZ is virtually impenetrable. I think only a handful of people have made it across the DMZ in the last 50 years. So you must go north across the river into China. But when you arrive in China, you aren't free. The Chinese government actually pays bounties for North Koreans that are turned in. They'll give you $100 if you turn in a North Korean. And if you are caught in China and repatriated to North Korea, you will typically go to a political prison camp. Now, these are political prison camps that look much more like Soviet gulags than prisons that we think of them, and many perish there. So once you get to China, you don't know the language, you look like a North Korean, not a Chinese, you typically have no money, and you're very vulnerable. As a result, the vast majority of North Koreans that leave get stuck in China and human trafficking situations. To give you rough numbers, there's approximately 200,000 North Koreans trapped inside China, and about 1,200 each year make it to South Korea. Now, if they make it to South Korea, it's very similar to, if you remember the Cold War, if you made it from East Germany to West Germany. You're given citizenship, a stipend, some education about the world, and things like that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to watch a short video that talks about Ji Sung-ho's journey, and then we'll bring him up on stage and talk to him. Sorry, just one moment, technical difficulties.
제가 북한을 탈출하기로 결심했던 것은 이제 2000년도인데요. 북한에 살 때는 정말 이제 지옥 같은 삶을 이제 살았습니다.
This is Ji Sung-ho. Like many Koreans living in the north, his life before escaping was one of poverty and despair.
학교를 갈 수가 없었고, 또한 이제 먹을 것이 없었고, 먹을 걸 이제 구하는 일을 이제 주로 했고요. 산에 가서 이제 풀을 뜯어오기도 했고, 나무 껍질을 이제 벗겨다가 이제 먹을 것을 만들기도 했었고, 또한 이제 그 힘든 중노동, 이제 열차에서 석탄을 훔쳐서 그것을 팔아서 옥수수를 조금 이제 만든다든가.
In 1996, when he was 14 years old and weak from starvation, Ji Sung-ho temporarily lost consciousness and fell off one of these trains. Moments later, he was crippled by the train passing over his unconscious body. Amputated and impoverished, he lived the next few years in excruciating pain. In 2000, wishing to no longer burden his family, Ji Sung-ho crossed into China in search of food to bring back home.
좀 상상을 초월하는 그런 상황이었죠. 가장 이제 눈에 띄었던 것은 이제 밤에 이제 야시장에 그 뭐랄까요, 채소나 과일이라든가 고기라든가 그런 음식들이 산처럼 쌓여져 있는 것을 보면서 굉장히 이제 충격적이었고, 그리고 또 밤에 그 북한은 정전이 가는데 불을 안 주는데 이제 그 환한 그 불빛에 고기 굽는 냄새, 막 너무나도 이제처럼 이런 것이 이제 사람이 사는 이제 곳이구나 이런 생각을 했었죠. 그리고 또한 이제 중국 가니까 이제 그때 당시 김정일을 이제 중국 사람들이 막 욕하는 거예요. 그러니까 이제 인민들을 먹이지 않아 가지고 굶어 죽고 있고, 너처럼 이제 팔 다리 없는 장애인이 식량국을 하러 이까지 오게끔 그 수령은 뭐라고 혼자 먹고 그렇게 살이 쪄 있냐, 이렇게 막 욕하더라고요. 그것도 이제 북한에서는 전혀 이제 들어볼 수가 없고 할 수가 없는 이야기를 하고 있어가지고 좀 그것도 이제 중국 사람들에게 놀랐고.
The visit to China, while short-lived, was an eye-opening experience for Ji Sung-ho. He knew, however, that he'd have to return to his family in North Korea. Upon re-entry, he was spotted by local police, where he faced severe and cruel consequences, made more cruel because of his physical handicap.
그래서 조금 이제 갖고 왔던 짐도 뺏기고 고문도 당하고 했었는데, 그때 저는 이제 팔다리가 없는 장애인이었거든요. 그런데 이제 무참한 그런 이제 폭행을 당하고 하면서 너무 슬펐어요. 국가가 일한 것에 대한 대가로 먹을 걸 주기로 됐는데 그것을 주지 않아 가지고 사람들이 굶어 죽고, 또한 이제 너무 배고파서 중국의 식량국을 갔던 것이 그것이 죄가 돼서 이제 고문당한다는 것이 싫었고, 그때 이제 남한으로 이제 언젠가는 탈북하겠다 결심을 가졌죠.
In 2006, he found his opportunity. Ji Sung-ho and his brother went north to the Tumen River, embarking on a 6,000-mile-long journey. Using an underground railroad network, they trekked through China and into the jungles of Southeast Asia. By July of 2006, he made it to his final destination, South Korea, and dedicated himself to assuring that no one else would suffer as he had.
지금 이제 북한 주민들은 이제 그 사회에서 벗어나기를 이제 바라고 있어요. 그래서 그것이 정말 북중국경을 이제 그 봉시함으로 해가지고 이제 휴전선이라든가 이제 바다를 통한 이제 탈북이 이루어질 정도로 북한 안에 있는 사람들 많이 탈출하길 원하는데, 저희가 하고 있는 일은 이제 중국에 이제 북한을 탈출해 중국에 살고 있거나 또한 금방 이제 탈출한 사람들이 이제 대한민국으로 이제 자유로운 땅으로 갈 수 있도록 돕는 일을 하는데요.
With his help, now Action and Unity for Human Rights has rescued hundreds of North Korean refugees from China, bringing them into South Korea. In 2018, he was honored at the United States Annual State of the Union Address in Washington, D.C.
굉장히 이제 감격스러웠고 감동이었어요. 그리고 영광이었죠. 이제 그 미국 정책을 이제 결정하는 이제 또 정책을 이제 시작하는 그 연두교서에 이제 저 이름이 이제 그 이제 불려지는 것도 이제 감사했고, 그 목발을 들었을 때 드는 생각은 김정일 그 3대 세습은 이제 나를 이제 굶겨 죽이고 또한 장애인을 만들었고, 그리고 이제 죽기를 이제 바랬지만, 창피하다고 죽기를 바랬지만 난 살아남아서 나는 인간 승리해가지고 정말 이제 이 자리에 섰다는 것을 이제 외치고 싶었죠.
Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming Mr. Ji Sung-ho.
Michael, is this for you?
So sorry about those technical difficulties. I was hoping you could start us off by just telling us a little bit more about your 6,000-mile journey for you and your family. I mean, obviously it's difficult to encapsulate such a long and arduous journey into a few minutes, but just if you could elaborate a little bit more on that, that'd be great.
저의 소원은 이제 단 하나였습니다. 이제 그것은 자유로운 세상에서 단 하루만이라도 살아보는 것이었습니다.
I have just one wish, and I would like to live in a country with freedom.
1만 킬로를 돌아와야 되는 그 과정에서 죽을 수 있다는 생각도 이제 많이 했었죠. 그러나 저는 정말 그 상황에서 무릎을 꿇으면 안 된다고 생각했고 정말 수많은 눈물을 흘리면서 그 자유를 찾아왔습니다.
On the journey to the South Korea, and I felt I may die. But against all those the risks, I would not give up.
이제 그 두만강을 이제 건너는데 이제 물이 너무나도 이제 많이 이제 불어가지고 이제 헤엄을 칠 수가 없었습니다. 그래서 엄청나게 많은 물을 먹고 물에 떠내려가고 이제 죽을 뻔을 하기도 했었고요. 그리고 이제 때로는 이제 정글을 목발 짚고 가는데 너무 힘들어가지고 지쳐서 이제 눈물 흘리면서 정말 이 과정을 이제 꼭 넘게 해달라고 정말 빌고 기도하기도 했습니다.
I had to swim across a river called the Tuman River, and I nearly drowned in the river when I crossed the river. And also, when I traveled through the jungle in South Asia, and I almost fainted, almost passed out several times, but I already made up my mind again, and I will not give up. I will not give up.
예, 이제 중국, 라오스, 미얀마, 태국을 걸쳐서 이제 대한민국까지 오게 됐는데요. 그때 제가 결심했습니다. 내가 이 과정을 살아 나간다면 나 같은 장애인이 다시는 넘어오지 않아도 되는 그런 북한 주민들의 자유를 이제 만들겠다고 결심했었습니다.
I had to go through 4 countries, China, Laos, Myanmar, and Thailand, and then I finally came to the South Korea. And when I came to the South Korea, I resolved to dedicate myself to help other people in North Korea.
저의 가족에 대해서 이제 잠깐 말씀드리겠습니다. 이제 저희 어머니와 여동생과 이제 남동생은 저와 함께 대한민국에 지금 살고 있습니다.
I'm going to talk about my family a little bit. And my mother, my sister, and my younger brother are living together in South Korea.
저의 가족 구성원 모두에게는 너무 큰 이제 아픔이 있고 그것이 인권 유린이었습니다. 북한 당국으로 인한.
All of us had the bad experience from the North Korea, and it is all about the human rights abuses in North Korea.
제가 이제 어렸을 때 어머니가 중국으로 이제 갔죠. 그 이유는 북한에서는 이제 저에게 우족과 우수를 해주고 다시 세상을 걸을 수 있도록 해줄 수가 없었기 때문에 돈을 벌려고 중국에 갔었는데 어머니는 돌아오지 않으셨죠. 왜냐하면 그는 이제 중국에 있는 인신매매 브로커들한테 이제 잡혀서 먼 산골에 이제 팔려갔던 거죠.
My mother went to China to get some food, and also she wanted him to have some prosthetic, the arm and foot, but she couldn't get them for Songho, so she went to the other China, but she could not come back to the North Korea because she was under the human trafficking situation.
저에게는 나를 돌봐줄 수 있는 어머니가 필요했고, 그리고 어머니가 보고 싶었는데 볼 수가 없었습니다.
I really missed my mother, but I could not see her because she could not come back to North Korea.
여동생이 17살 되던 해, 여동생은 그 어머니를 찾으려고 집을 나섰죠. 중국 땅으로 갔었는데 이제 그도 이제 볼 수가 없는 사람이 되었었습니다.
When my sister, when she turned 17, she went to China again. She went to China to find her mother, but she also could not come back to North Korea.
제가 2006년도에 북한을 탈출할 때 남동생하고 탈북을 했습니다. 그리고 아버지가 남겨져 있었죠.
So when I escaped from North Korea with my younger brother in 2006, but my father was still in North Korea.
제가 이제 탈북을 결심한 것을 보고 아버지는 눈물을 글썽이면서 저에게 이야기했습니다. 우리가 다시 만날 수 있냐고 꼭 포옹해 주셨죠. 저는 이야기했습니다. 아버지 걱정 마세요. 우리가 다시 꼭 만날 겁니다. 라고 했습니다.
When I told my mind to my father about escaping from North Korea, and my father told me with tears, could we meet again? And I told my father, yes, we can meet together.
그런데 그때 아버지를 안아드렸던 그것이 아버지와의 마지막 이별이 될 줄은 이제 저는 몰랐었습니다.
I hugged him when I told him we can meet together, but that was the last moment with my father.
3개월이면 저는 대한민국에 갈 것이라고 생각했는데 그 탈북은 너무나도 긴 시간이었고, 그리고 제가 대한민국에서 사회로 나오는 데까지는 7개월이 이제 걸렸습니다.
I originally expected 3 months to reach South Korea, but it took much longer than the 3 months, and actually it took almost 7 months.
먹을 것이 없던 저희 아버지는 저희들을 찾으려 이제 대한민국으로 탈북을 시도했지만 이제 두만강 국경에서 군인들에게 체포되었고, 북한의 국가보위부 이제 요원들이 고문을 했죠. 그래서 계속되는 고문 끝에 아버지는 돌아가셨고 그 시체를 집에다 버리고 그들이 갔다고 하더라고요. 그래서 주변 사람들이 저희 아버지 시체를 알고 이제 장례를 치러드렸다고 이야기 들었습니다.
So my father followed us, but when he swam across the Duman River, he was arrested by the guards, and then so he actually was sent to the concentration camps, and he got tortured to death, and so the guards just left his dead body actually in the house. So his neighbors actually just
대한민국은 이제 자유로운 땅이고 먹을 것도 풍족한 땅입니다. 그 땅에서 저희 아버지가 하루만 좋은 것을 드셨으면 제가 정말 소원이 없었을 텐데 너무 이제 미안합니다.
I feel very sorry for my father. I wish my father could live in South Korea just for one day.
또 이제 남동생도 탈출해서 이제 성공해서 대한민국에 와서 대학 공부를 했고, 저도 이제 지금은 이제 석사 이제 대학 공부를 하고 있고, 그 후에 이제 여동생도 넘어왔고 어머니도 이제 넘어왔고 해서 지금 네 식구가 대한민국에 살고 있습니다.
So my brother, he successfully escaped from North Korea, and then he also came to the South Korea, and now he went through the college education, and Sungho, I also went through the college education. Now I'm in the graduate school of one of the law schools in South Korea. And then my sister and my mother, they came to South Korea as well. So now all of us are living together in South Korea.
Thank you. Could you, I'm sure when you got to South Korea, there were many surprises about South Korean society and life outside of North Korea. What were a couple of the big things that caught your attention the most?
이제 대한민국에 와서 굉장히 이제 놀라운 점들이 많았습니다. 근데 그 중에서 제일 놀라웠던 것은 사람들이 대통령을 막 욕하는 거죠. 그런데 그보다 더 중요한 것은 대통령을 욕하면 정치범 수용소로 가야 되는데 정치범 수용소로 이제 가지 않아도 된다는 그런 사실이었습니다.
So I was surprised by many things in South Korea. And one of the remarkable things was the people in South Korea could speak ill of the president and also about the ruling party. So, and if you do that in North Korea, then you would be arrested by the ruling party, the North Korean regime, and you would get sent to the concentration camps, some prison camps in North Korea. But in South Korea, you can just freely speak ill of even our president.
예, 또 하나 이제 놀라웠던 것은 열차를 탔는데 서울에서 이제 부산까지 가는 데 있어가지고 여행 증명서 검열하는 사람도 없었고 뭐라고 제지하는 사람도 없었죠. 북한 같으면 출장 증명서가 없으면 이동을 할 수가 없는데 이제 마음대로 이제 갈 수 있다는 것이 놀라웠고. 더 놀라운 것은 이제 나에게도 이제 여권이 이제 생기고 그 여권을 가지고 세상 밖에 다른 나라로 이제 갈 수 있다는 것이 굉장히 이제 저는 이제 충격이었습니다.
The second thing was when I traveled from Seoul, which is the capital city of South Korea, to Busan, the second largest city in South Korea, and which is about 300 miles away from Seoul. And what I needed was just to buy a ticket, the train ticket from Seoul to Busan. But in North Korea, if you want to travel, then you have to report it to the North Korean government and also have to get some travel certificate. And you should show that travel certificate several times to the guard or the soldiers, several times during the journey. But in South Korea, you just need to buy a ticket. And also now I have a passport. And then I can actually go to any country outside the South Korea freely. And that was the second thing I was surprised at.
Excellent. First of all, just real quick, we want this to be an interactive session. So in just a couple minutes, we're going to take some questions from the audience. So you might be thinking that I think we're going to have some microphones going around so that you can ask questions in just a minute. But why don't you talk a little bit about your organization now and when you started it and what you were hoping to do for the North Korean people by starting that organization?
제가 이제 나우를 이제 만들었던 것은 2010년도입니다. 제가 대학 공부를 하면서 더욱 이제 느꼈던 것은 정말 이제 북한 주민들을 위해 가지고 피해자였던 내가 이제 옹호자가 되어 가지고 그들의 목소리가 되어야 된다는 사실을 알게 됐습니다.
I founded an organization called Now Action and Unity for Human Rights. And in 2000, and 2010, right? Yeah, 2010, I'm sorry. And so when I actually founded the organization, I thought about it myself. Once I was a victim of the North Korean regime. Now I'm in South Korea, and I have to do something for people in North Korea. So
예, 저와 같은 이제 피해자가 북한 주민들을 향해 가지고 겪었던 것에 대한 것을 이야기 안 하고 침묵을 한다면 북한 정권은 계속해서 조직적으로 북한 주민들을 유린하고 괴롭힐 것이고 그런 이제 고통이 계속되는 것을 막아야 됐었죠.
if I don't do anything, then North Korean regime would do the same thing to North Korean people. So I should do something to stop them.
저희가 지금 하고 있는 일은 저와 같았던 그 북한 땅에서 고통을 받았던 사람들을 구출하는 일을 하고 있습니다.
So what we are doing is to help people who are escaping from North Korea.
중국에는 저희 어머니, 저희 여동생과 같은 북한을 탈출한 여성들이 20만 명이 지금 이제 인신매매로 와서 살고 있죠. 그들이 사연은 다양합니다. 어린 나이에 미성년자임에도 불구하고 강제로 팔려가서 아이를 낳고 생활하는 여성도 있고 또한 이제 그 브로커들로 인해 가지고 4번, 5번을 이제 팔려간 여성들도 있었죠. 해서 그들을 보면서 1명, 2명 우리가 모금을 해서 구출하기 시작했는데 지금까지는 이제 300명이라는 그런 이제 많은 사람들을 구출해서 자유를 선물해 줄 수 있었습니다.
We focused on people who escaped from North Korea but still staying in China, particularly some ladies like my mother and my sister, because they are actually under some human trafficking situation, and some young women, they are just sold for prostitution, and they are actually in very bad situation. So we just raised some funds to save them, and just one by one, and now we saved about 300 people from China, from the North Korea.
제가 이제 또 하나 이제 말씀드리고 싶은 그 행사는 제가 북한에서 살았던 그 거지 그 역할을 하는 이제 그 제 연극을 영어로 준비했었습니다. 그것이 이제 지난해 9월 초였죠.
We also had a play, and I was actually acted in that play, and that play is about some beggars and some poor children in North Korea.
저는 이제 북한에서 짚고 넘어온 그 목발을 짚고 이제 나갔고 전 세계가 정말 북한 어린이들, 북한 주민들의 고통에 대해서 알아야 된다고 생각했기 때문에 그 순회하면서 이제 제 연극을 이제 진행했었습니다.
So in that play, I just used my crutches, and we traveled around the cities, big cities in in South Korea and also in the United States, to tell the people, how miserable the North Korean, the children are living there.
제일 마지막 행사가 백악관 이제 백악관이 멀리 보이는 그 공원에 이제 저희가 이제 자리를 잡고 10명의 탈북 청소년들이 그 영어로 된 이제 연극을 했었죠.
The last play was held in a part of the Washington D.C. It's a little bit far from the White House, and about the 10 defectors, we had a play there in Washington D.C.
그때 저는 저기 멀리 점처럼 보이는 그 백악관을 이제 보면서 기도했습니다. 저곳에서 트럼프 대통령이 우리 북한 어린이들의 그 고통, 북한 주민들이 그 겪는 그 고통을 보고 관심 가지고 그들을 위한 일을 하게 해달라고 기도했었죠.
When I was in Washington D.C., I saw the White House, and I prayed at the time. I wish the President Trump and also the U.S. government shows some interest in the North Korean human rights and also the people in North Korea.
그런데 저는 이제 놀랍게도 6개월도 안 된 이제 1월 30일 백악관으로 이제 초청을 받았고 스테이츠 오브 더 유니언 어드레스 행사에서 목발을 전 세계를 향해서 드는 트럼프 대통령께서 이제 또 이야기해 주시는 그런 이제 기적을 이제 보기도 하였습니다.
Amazingly, I was invited to the White House about 6 months later. And as you see in the State of the Union address, I was honored by the President Trump, and I could hold up my crutches above my head.
Okay, so we want to get everyone in the audience involved too. We have a microphone there. How about right there?
Sung-ho, welcome to Cleveland. With all my heart and mind, I welcome you. Bring greetings. I don't need these microphones. I don't know if this helps. Perhaps it does. I bring greetings to you, welcoming you. Yes, Yi Sung-ho from Murray Bassett, Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation. Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation, they know you, you know them, are bringing to Cleveland in October Suzanne Schulte, head of the North Korean Freedom Coalition. She will address all of us at Case Western Reserve University, where I teach, at Case Western Reserve October 29th, and we'll be thinking of you. I thank you again and again. You're an example to all of us. I'm a Cuban-born American. I teach at Case Western Reserve. I know our totalitarian regimes. 5 of them, North Korea, China, Laos, Vietnam, and Cuba. Hope to see you. Suzanne Schulte and you, welcome always.
Yeah, my question was, you talk about the North Korea being just a horrible place, but a lot of the crimes that you describe are state-sponsored. So you have famine and you have the government arresting people for crazy stuff and torturing them to death. I was curious about what general crime is in North Korea. And that being said, is there opposition forces that are either a mob or mafia type, people that are committing crimes for self-gain? And on the opposite side of it, are there any freedom fighters or any people opposed to the government with any significant political anything? Like, is there anything, or is it just pretty much, everybody is under the foot of the government in a type of way?
이제 북한도 이제 사람이 살아가는 그 사회는 이제 똑같은 것 같아요. 근데 특별하게 이제 저희가 봐야 되는 것은 북한은 이제 국가가 조직적으로 이제 주민들을 향해 가지고 범죄를 이제 저지른다는 사실이죠. 그래서 거기에서 뭐 첫째로 이제 주민들에게 일한 것에 대한 대가를 이제 먹을 것을 주지 않고, 그러면 우리는 일하러 안 나갈 수 있는 자유가 있는데 무조건 강제로 나와야 되고, 또한 그로 인해 가지고 가족들이 이제 굶어 죽는다든가 이런 일들이 있고요. 또한 그런 북한을 탈출하려고 이제 중국으로 가려고 하면 이제 잡아서 이제 감옥 보내고, 또한 중국에서 넘어간 사람들을 체포해 가지고 이제 또 처형을 하고 이런 모습들을 보면서 북한 안에서 사람들이 살 수 있는 곳은 또한 기댈 수 있는 곳은 없죠. 그래서 숨을 쉴 수 없는 곳이 이제 북한 땅인데 그로 인해 가지고 살기 위해서 뭐 조금이라도 이제 무엇이라도 국가가 주지 않으니까 훔치지 않으면 살 수가 없는 거죠. 어찌 보면 제가 이제 달리는 열차에서 석탄을 훔친 것도 북한 당국이 먹을 것을 주지 않고 저희 아버지가 일한 것에 대한 대가를 주지 않다 보니까 이제 그런 일들이 있었던 거고 또한 그러지 않으면 살 수가 없는 땅이 이제 북한이라고 이제 보시면 될 것 같습니다.
In North Korea, definitely you don't have a freedom. In here, you have a freedom. I mean, if you don't get paid, then you don't need to work. But in North Korea, even though you don't get paid, but you have to work there forcefully. So, but even though you're working there, but it was so hard actually to get some food. So sometimes you have to steal something. And in my case, I had to steal coal from the running trains. And those are the kind of the realities in the North Korea.
So one of the, just to expand on that a little bit, so one of the reasons why I support information dissemination inside North Korea and trying to get outside information into the country is because there is no independent media whatsoever, and the typical North Korean does not know what the outside world looks like. They have some vague notion, as you've heard from Sung-ho, about that China, he went to China and it looked really rich, but like exactly what that means and what that, and what, say, an American supermarket looks like, they have no conceptualization of. And so to me, before there can be any change inside North Korea, a prerequisite is that they understand what life is like out in the rest of the world. And so we don't support any anti-North Korean regime propaganda. All we do is provide a positive image about what life is like for everyone outside of the country.
Ji Sung-ho, would you please describe Pyongyang? When we see it on TV, the country looks prosperous, the people look happy, the government looks functional, the buildings look beautiful. Would you please tell us what percentage of the population that applies to?
이제 평양은 이제 한마디로 말하면 북한은 이제 신이 이제 사는 곳이죠. 그것은 무엇을 의미하냐면요. 이제 김일성과 김정일은 이제 북한의 신이 되어서 지금 있습니다. 그래서 그런 이제 평양에 저는 이제 가볼 수가 없었습니다. 왜냐하면 우리는 평등하다고 교육을 받았는데 우리가 평양을 갈 수가 없는 거죠. 왜냐하면 그곳에는 이제 신이 있기 때문에 검증이 안 된 사람들이 이제 갈 수가 없다는 거죠. 그래서 여행 증명서를 떼주지 않아서 갈 수가 없었고요. 그 땅에 평양에서 살고 있는 사람은 지금 현재 200만 명 이제 정도가 이제 되는데요. 북한 주민의 한 10%가 이제 넘는 10%가 좀 안 되는 이제 그런 사람들입니다. 근데 그들이 갖고 있는 프라이드는 이제 대단하고 또한 북한 이제 지방에 사는 사람들과 그들이 사는 평양은 이제 다른 모습이라고 보면 되죠. 그래서 우리가 북한을 바라볼 때 평양시에 대한 이제 뉴스, 북한을 이제 바라보는데 어려운 상황에 있는 대부분의 사람들은 이제 그 어려운 상황에서 지방에서 살고 있는 사람들이 많다는 것도 함께 봐주시면 좋을 것 같습니다.
If you see their lives in the Pyongyang, and so the Pyongyang is the place for not the ordinary people. The Pyongyang is the place for the gods. It's for the Kim dynasty and also its followers. So there are about 2 million people. So that's about just little bit less than the 10% of the North Korean population, and they have kind of some privilege to live there. But the ordinary people like me, and we don't have that kind of privilege. And even we cannot travel to the Pyongyang because, as I told you, we need kind of some travel certificate when you want to make a travel. But some ordinary people like me, we cannot get the certificate.
And just to add a little bit more to that, just to give you an example of how cut off the country is, even within the country, the elites that live in Pyongyang were remarkably unaware of the famine in the 90s that killed between 5 and 10% of the population outside of the major area, because food is used as a tool of oppression.
How much does the average North Korean know about the nuclear weapons program and the intercontinental missile program? Is there widespread support among the North Korean people for those programs? And what's the general sentiment by the North Korean people about the United States?
So, while you translate, in general, it is extraordinarily difficult to know anything about what the North Korean people actually think. There has never been any independent media survey or anything like that. I'll let Ji-Sung-ho.
북한 주민들이 북한이 핵과 이제 그 ICBM 이제 미사일을 만들고 있다는 사실은 모두가 알고 있죠. 그리고 이제 우리가 이제 굶주리고 있는 것도 이제 이것을 만들어서 미국과 대적하기 위함이라고 이제 항상 교육을 했습니다. 그래서 북한 주민들에게는 그것을 긍지심으로 이제 만들었고요. 또한 그 뒤에 질문까지 이제 이어서 이제 답변을 이제 드린다면, 이제 북한에서는 이제 미국이 철천지 원수고 미국을 이제 죽여야 되는 대상이라고 이제 저도 이제 교육을 받았습니다. 그리고 저도 이제 미국 사람들 굉장히 나쁘다고 생각했는데, 현재 북한 정권에 사는 교육이 아닌 북한 주민들이 생각이 바뀌고 있습니다. 미국을 좋은 나라라고 생각하는 이유가 2004년도 미국은 지구상에 처음으로 북한 주민들을 위해서 북한 인권법을 만들었고, 공개 처형과 북한의 정치범 수용소와 인권 유린에 대해서 공식적으로 문제를 제기했습니다. 그것을 외부 정보를 받아들은 북한 주민들이 이제 북한 당국이 이야기하는 거랑 현실적으로 미국이 북한 주민들이 그러니까 북한 당국이 이야기하는 것이 거짓이고 미국 국민들이 이제 우리 그 북한 주민들이 편이구나 이런 것을 많이 느끼고 있고, 저도 2006년도에 탈북했는데 2004년도에 그것을 듣고 저도 너무 이제 감사했던 기억이 있습니다.
About the nuclear program and the ICBM, the Intercontinental Ballistic Missile programs, and everybody in North Korea actually knows about it. And because the North Korean, the regime that proclaims that that those programs are for the North Korean people who will fight against the United States. And so the North Korean regime made those two programs as the pride of the North Korean. And also for the second question, so about the kind of general sentiment about the United States of the North Korean people's the general sentiment about the North Korean North Korean people's the general sentiment about the U.S. And so we were educated that the United States is the primary opponent of the North Korea. But now that we have some changes, and that change started in 2004 when the United States raised some human rights issues in North Korea. And I actually escaped from the North Korea in 2006, but before that, in 2004, even I heard of that news. Then United States raised the human rights issues in North Korea. And so the many North Korean people now they thank the United States.
Question? Yeah.
Hi, thank you. I was just wondering if you have to take any sort of safety precautions or if there's been any type of retaliation against you for the work that you're doing.
Is it about the retaliation actually from the North Korea? Yeah, okay.
이제 북한에서 가장 이제 두려워하는 것은 북한 인권입니다. 그리고 이제 그것을 이야기하는 사람들을 이제 보복하려고 하죠. 그런데 저는 이것이 나의 사명이고 북한이 이제 어떻게 할지라도 저는 이 길을 갈 것이고 두려움이 이제 없습니다. 그래서
What the North Korean regime fear most is the human rights issues. And definitely, North Korea is trying to retaliate the people like me, but I have no fear, and I will not stop this.
My question is actually two questions. One is that how did you develop the sense of freedom? The same, because I'm a refugee too. I listen to the Voice of America through the radio. And those were how I built in the desire for freedom. Number two is with this impact today of immigration being closed, how do you foresee that we, Americans, will be accepting and assimilating people from North Korea?
So, just while he's translating, just to put rough numbers on it, there are about 30,000 North Koreans that have made it to South Korea since the end of the Korean War, and roughly 1,200 make it each year these days. And in total, in the United States, there are about 220 North Koreans.
저에게 이제 자유란 정말 다시 찾은 이제 삶의 이유이고 또한 이제 북한 주민들도 그 자유를 누릴 수 있는 이제 권리가 있다고 저는 생각합니다. 그래서 그 자유를 이제 만드는 길에 이제 정말 북한 당국이 앞에 있을지라도 저는 이제 정의가 승리한다고 생각하기 때문에 이 길을 가고 있고 이제 또 앞으로도 그렇게 할 것입니다.
To me, the freedom is to a region to live. And I also want the North Korean people to enjoy this freedom. So that's why I will not stop this. And I always believe that the justice wins in the future.
Yeah, so I heard you say that you had funds. And because of those funds, you got 300 women out of China. How did you do that? Did you have to bribe the Chinese government? How did the money enter into the fact that those women ultimately escaped China and then ended up in South Korea?
이제 그 한 사람이 저희 활동가들을 통해 가지고 중국을 출발해 가지고 대한민국까지 오는 데는 한 2,000불, 2,000불 정도의 돈이 이제 사용됩니다. 이제 그 돈은 중국 땅에 이제 그 강제로 결혼해서 살던 사람들이 가지고 있는 것은 아무것도 없죠. 도망쳐서 이제 나오기 때문에, 또한 그런 상황을 탈출해서 나오기 때문에, 그러면 그들이 입을 수 있는 의상을 이제 사야 되고, 그리고 또 오는데 이제 필요한 그런 이제 경비, 또 과정에 이제 뭐 예를 들어 차량이라든가 버스라든가 타야 되면 그런 비용, 그리고 또 중간중간 이제 중국 공안 경찰들이 있을 때 공안들에 대한 뇌물도 좀 주고 이제 빠져나와야 되는 부분도 있고, 그래서 중국, 라오스, 미얀마, 태국까지 오는데 이제 뭐 먹고 또 이제 잠을 자고 또 이동하고, 그리고 또 오면서 쓸 수 있는 약간의 이제 용돈, 이것까지 이제 포함하면 2,000달러 정도 이제 소요되고요. 그 돈은 우리 지금 탈북 대학생들 여기에도 지금 2명이 더 왔거든요. 저하고 함께. 근데 이제 그들이 이제 크리스마스 카드를 만들어서 판매해가지고 그 돈으로 이제 구출하고, 또 그런 모습들을 보면서 한국에 또 미국에 있는 사람들이 조금씩 이제 도네이션 해주셔가지고요. 이제 이렇게 큰 기적을 이제 만들었죠.
It usually costs over $2,000 to bring the one person back to South Korea, and particularly actually for women, because they were usually the first married with the Chinese male. So when a woman escaped from that Chinese household and she just got nothing, so we have to offer some clothes and also some transportation, some mode of transportation. And sometimes, yes, we actually bribe some Chinese policies, just to get them free. And so right now, I'm here with the North Korean defectors, together actually with me, and they are actually here as well. And they are actually making some Christmas cards and sell those Christmas cards actually to the people, and we also actually get some funds. So that's actually how we could save the 300 people.
Can people from the north watch TV from the south? For example, could they see the joint Korean delegation to the last Winter Olympics in South Korea?
So I can answer that one. There's the only television is North Korean TV. North Korean TV shows only what is in the interest of the North Korean government to show the North Korean people. They saw very limited. You can actually watch. It's called KCNA. You can actually watch KCNA and pick it up off of satellite. They got very small tidbits of the Olympics and exactly what you would expect them to get as far as that goes. That is one of the reasons why I think it is so important to get foreign media in there so that they can see the entire press conference between, say, Kim Jong-un and President Trump, as opposed to the very narrow slices that they're allowed to see. And now, next question.
I'm interested in your personal situation. Are you a married person? Do you have children? What is your wife's background, and how did this happen to you?
예.
I assume that wasn't for me. No, I'm just kidding.
이제 아직 이제 결혼은 못했고요. 이제 기도하고 있습니다. 이제 제가 하고 있는 일을 존중하고 정말 함께 이제 위해 줄 수 있는 그런 이제 분이 이제 위해서 이제 기도하고 있고요. 예. 많은 분들이 기도해 주니까 어떻게 곧 되지 않을까 싶습니다.
So I'm single. I'm still looking for a future spouse who can help me, go through all this journey. And because there are many people are praying for me, so I think I can find a very beautiful spouse someday.
Personal question to you. You were honored by President Trump at the State of the Union address. Do you think that Trump and Kim can meet and change the human rights situation in North Korea?
저는 북한 인권 이슈를 바꿀 수 없다고 생각합니다. 왜냐하면요, 그곳에 이제 가장 중요한 것은 이제 북한의 정치범 수용소가 폐쇄돼야 되고, 그들에게 이제 이민 갈 수 있는, 또 망명할 수 있는 그런 자유까지 이제 마련돼야 되는데, 만약 그렇게 될 경우에는 북한이 정체성이 이제 흔들리게 되고, 결과적으로는 그 정도까지 간다면 북한 주민들이 김일성, 김정일, 김정은이 한 그 모든 인권 유린을 알게 되는 그 현실이 되는데, 그러면 북한 주민들이 김정은을 이제 일컬어서 가만히 있지 않을 것이고, 또한 그로 인해서 이제 큰 혼란이 이제 초래될 것입니다. 그래서 결국 북한은 인권 이슈를 어떻게든 숨기려고 하고 있고, 지금 그 노스 코리안, 사우스 코리안 서밋 and American North Korean Summit 모두에서 이제 인권 문제를 어떻게 해서나 이제 이야기 안 하려고 하는 그런 모습을 보이고 있습니다.
I'm not that positive on the thought that the U.S. and North Korean summit will change the North Korean human rights issues, because I believe that if the real change actually happens when the North Korean regime shut off the prison camps. There are so many prison camps in North Korea, and also they should give the people the freedom to travel around. But the North Korea actually will not, give that kind of the freedom to the North Korean people. If they give the freedom to the North Korean people, then the people in North Korea, they will know the truth. And that's what the North Korean regime fear the most. So that's why I do not believe that those summits actually will change the human rights issues.
Your dangerous journey trying to escape, I'm just curious. I'm assuming that South Korean's language is similar to your language. Otherwise, why didn't you stop at Myanmar or Thailand? Why did you have to get to South Korea?
이제 랭귀지가 이제 달라서 이제 그 동남아시아 국가에 이제 멈추려고 하는 것이 아니고요. 이제 그 한반도에서 이제 그 남북한에서 함께 살았던 그런 이유라든가 그런 이제 모든 이제 일련의 과거에 있었던 일들이 저희들을 이제 남한으로 이제 이끕니다. 근데 재밌는 것은 우리가 또 눈여겨봐야 될 것은 저희가 이제 태국으로 가는 이유는 그곳에는 그 유엔 이제 난민 기구 이제 UNHCR이 이제 있는데 그곳에서는 이제 우리를 가고 싶은 나라로 이제 갈 수 있도록 돕는 이제 그런 기구이죠. 그래서 그곳에서 이제 탈북자들이 대부분 한국 가기를 원하기도 하는데 또 미국이나 영국이나 이제 캐나다와 같은 이런 이제 그 유럽의 국가들에 가서 이제 살고 싶어하는 사람들도 꽤 이제 되는 것으로 알고 있습니다. 그래서 그들이 생각하는 것은 그 땅에서 목숨을 걸고 자유를 찾아 나왔을 때는 인권의 선진국 그리고 이제 정말 자유로운 땅 이제 그 땅으로 가려고 하는 이제 목적이 크기 때문에 그 동남아 나라에 이제 멈추려고 하는 것이 아니라 세상 그 유럽 국가나 이제 대한민국에 오려고 하는 것입니다.
It's not the language issue. I mean that I did not stop at one of the Southeast the countries. And definitely the South Korea and North Korea, actually their languages are very similar. We actually speak the same language. So that's why I could actually settle in South Korea so easily. But the region that the defectors should go to Thailand is there is the UN refugee camp. And once you get there, then you can go to any country that you want to go. So that's why the defectors should come to the Thailand first. But most the defectors from North Korea, they actually want to go to the South Korea. But there are some others, who want to go to some other countries like the United States or England or some other countries. But all of them actually would like to go to the countries with freedom.
So they have to get into a South Korean embassy or an American embassy or Japanese embassy, and many people ask the question, well, why don't they just go to the Korean embassy in China? But a number of years ago, there were a lot of attempts at getting into the various like Japanese embassy and things like that. And so the Chinese have actually built a wall around the embassies to prevent that you have to go through a checkpoint in order to get to the embassy so that you cannot defect through say the American embassy in Beijing or something like that.
I'm wondering if you could share your opinion or any thoughts that you have about how North Korea is covered in Western or at least American media. I think maybe if you watch CNN, you get distracted by stories like I hesitate to use the word cheerleaders, but the North Korean cheerleaders at the ice hockey game at the Olympics, or Kim Yo-jong appearing with Vice President Pence, or even more ridiculous things like Dennis Rodman playing basketball in front of Kim Jong-un. So if you have any opinions on Western media coverage of these events, thank you.
I'll just talk for a second while he's translating. One of the things that bugs me more than anything is that there's a tremendous amount of media and research and things like that all going into nuclear bombs and ICBMs and missiles and things like that. And there is so little research and attention paid to what life is like for the typical North Korean person. And I certainly wish there were more stories about the average North Korean's life in Western media.
데니스 로드맨 맞나요? 예. 그런 이제 농구 선수가 이제 북한을 방문한다 해가지고 북한 주민들이 별다르게 생각하는 건 없어요. 또 그리고 이제 북한에 이제 치어리더들 있는지 없는지를 이제 북한 주민들은 잘 모르죠. 이제 그런 것을 본 적이 없으니까. 특히 평양 같은 경우에는 그들만 이제 볼 수 있는 또 다른 이제 공간이 있는지 그건 이제 알 수 없으나 적어도 저 같은 경우에는 이제 볼 수가 없었고요.
Not many people actually know about some Western media, and so he talked about the cheerleader, but I never seen the cheerleader in North Korea. And maybe some people in Pyongyang, they may have some privilege actually to watch the cheerleaders movement, but the ordinary people like me, we've never had such a the chance. And also the Dennis Rodman, I know, he actually visited the North Korea, but it actually made no difference actually to the North Korean people.
지금 이제 북한 주민들에게는 이제 중요한 것은 한 가지인 것 같아요. 이제 그들이 지금 시장을 형성해 가지고 그나마 먹고 살고 있는데 그 시장이 더욱 이제 확장될 수 있도록 또한 이제 물가가 안정돼서 살 수 있는 또한 이제 북한 당국이 이제 주민들을 터치하지 말아달라는 이런 이제 본인들에게 자유의 욕구 그것이 중요한 것이지 그 TV 쇼는 항상 거짓말을 해왔고 20년 동안 이제 계속되는 거짓말을 하기 때문에 그 북한 주민들이 북한 공식 TV나 이제 그 뉴스페이퍼에 의존하거나 이제 그것에 이제 중요성을 두지 않고 있습니다.
What North Korean people like to see is a free market, and we also actually want to get some food actually from that market, and we do not want the control from the North Korean regime. And we could only watch the North Korean, the central media, and that media keeps lying to the North Korean people. So we don't believe we don't trust that the North Korean, the central media.
I have a personal interest in this because this year I've sponsored North Korea Free Radio. And if you could comment on, I think people should understand the danger that North Koreans face of listening, watching, obtaining, holding, possessing any kind of media. And I want to make a comment. People ask about opinions that North Koreans have. I think most North Koreans are starving and they're hungry, and I don't think they have opinions.
So on the, yes, absolutely. Possession of particularly any South Korean media is a very serious offense that is not easy to bribe your way out of. Likewise, any religious material in particular, because the only sort of tolerated religion is the cult of personality of the Kim regime. And Kim Il-sungism. The only other thing I would add is that there is a tremendous demand from North Koreans for foreign media despite these penalties. I mean, story after story after story. So there are a number of people who broadcast shortwave radio into North Korea, which is what he was referring to. And I ran across a North Korean defector who had listened to shortwave radio when he was in North Korea, and I go, "Oh, well, how did you get a shortwave radio and whatnot?" And he said, "Oh, I made it." He's a computer science major at a university. And I was like, "Oh, great." And then I asked him, I go, "Well, who did you tell what you heard? Who did you talk about?" And he initially said no one. And I was like, "Oh, come on. I mean, you had to tell somebody." And he finally said that he told his father. And I was like, "Well, what about your mother?" And he's like, "No." And I was like, "Any friends at college?" "No." So that gives you, most North Korean defectors, when they tell the story of consuming media, they talk about doing it, keeping it from their parents, or if their parents, keeping it from their children, trying to protect them so that they don't inadvertently go to school and disclose that, mommy watched some South Korean K-pop video. Next question.
In addition, obviously, to serious nuclear weapons, North Korea has one of the largest armies for a country of 25 million. And recently, a young soldier tried to defect and was seriously wounded defecting to South Korea. I'd like to know what his status is like, but I'd like to know what the makeup of the North Korean military is like, the draftee, what segment of society they come from, and what's their length of service.
On the individual who made it across the DMZ, I believe that they, last I heard, that they were going to be able to make a full recovery. I'm going to leave the specifics of conscription to Ji Sung-ho.
Question.
예, 이제 그 북한은 정규 군인이 이제 100만 명이 넘는 이제 청년들이 군복무를 하죠. 군복무 하는 연한은 이제 10년이고, 그리고 이제 키가 채 자라지 않았다던가 이런 경우에는 1년 더 키워가지고 이제 군복무를 시킵니다. 그래서 100만이 넘는 군인들을 이제 유지해야 되고, 또한 이제 북한의 이제 경제적인 어려움이라든가 이런 거로 해가지고 군인들에 대한 실질적인 공급이 안 되고 이런 부분들이 분명히 있죠. 그래서 배고픔을 이제 겪는 군인들도 많고, 그리고 이제 지난해 이제 DMZ 이제 넘어온 이제 오청선 군인 같은 경우도 그나마 이제 좋은 부대, 괜찮은 부대, 그리고 좋은 이제 집안의 환경임에도 불구하고 이제 먹는 문제, 군에서 이제 먹는 문제에 시달렸던 것으로 그렇게 이제 확인됐습니다.
Currently, the number of North Korean soldiers is over 1 million, and the North Korean, the male, should serve the country actually for over 10 years, but still, those soldiers are also still suffering from some hunger and the starvation issues. And so the soldier actually who defected through the DMZ the last year, he actually had a kind of some good background, and he was also stationed in a kind of some good position, but he actually made up his mind to the defect from North Korea because of that hunger.
Or for you, Michael. So how do you get information in? You said lives and things like that.
So the question is, how do you get information into North Korea? I mean, there are a variety of smuggling routes that are available. No country is totally and completely closed. I mean, I don't like the analogy, but just conceptually, the U.S. government has all sorts of tools at its hand and mechanism, and yet plenty of drugs get into this country across the border anyways. I mean, there are informal distribution networks that are widespread and supported by both NGOs, non-governmental organizations, as well as just the typical black market stuff. So few, particularly with the sanctions and things like that, there is so little legal trade across the Chinese border into North Korea that it actually facilitates sort of a wide variety of illicit trade. I think we're getting close to being out of time. There were a couple of things that I wanted to say to kind of wrap up. One, I had one final question for Ji Sung-ho. I wanted him to talk about the projects that he's currently raising money for and trying to promote now, and what he hopes to do over the upcoming year.
저희가 지금 이제 주된 사업으로 이제 하고 있는 것은 리더십을 이제 양성하는 이제 교육을 지금 하고 있습니다. 그래서 지금 현재는 15명인데 이제 30명의 이제 친구들이 그 일을 이제 그 공부 이제 교육을 이제 받게 될 것이고, 그들이 이제 북한이 이제 변화가 됐을 때 그 땅의 지도자들로서 이제 들어가서 일할 수 있는 그런 이제 친구들입니다. 그래서 제 생각에는 정말 이제 고급된 이제 그런 교육을 이제 받고, 또한 이제 대한민국의 이제 민주주의와 이제 미국의 민주주의를 더욱 경험해가지고 정말 통일됐을 때 그 민주주의 가치를 바로 세우는 이제 그런 사람들이 되었으면 좋겠는데요. 그래서 때로는 이제 해외 나와서 공부할 수 있는 기회도 이제 필요하고, 때로는 그들을 교육할 수 있는 여러 가지 이제 비용들이 이제 필요합니다. 그래서 거기 있어가지고 제가 이제 노력을 해가지고 필요한 비용 이제 10만 불 중에 3만 불은 지금 이제 확보를 지금 했는데, 그 나머지들은 또 제가 이제 모금하고, 또한 이제 북한을 이제 변화시키는 이제 앞장에 세우기 위해서 더욱이 이제 노력해야 되는 그런 부분도 있습니다.
The current major project is to raise some leaders. So we actually focus on some educational program, and we build up the young leaders program. And so for now, we have the 15 candidates, and for this, we actually need kind of some fundraising, and the primary target is the $10,000, and thankfully, actually, I already made up the almost $3,000, but I still need to keep working on to make the fundraise.
So, first of all, thank you all for putting up with the technical difficulties as well as the natural difficulties anytime that we're doing, anytime we have to have translations and things like that. I know it's a little awkward to wait for everything to get translated. You know, we took a tour of the Maltz Museum today, and on one of the walls was a big quote, and it said, all that is necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. And I know that it can seem like North Korea is a long way away and that there's not a lot that can be done. But the reality is that everyone can do something, and there's a wide variety of ways to get involved in this issue. Whether it's through the information dissemination or helping refugees or helping North Koreans that have made it to South Korea and need help getting an education once they arrive. So this event was just supposed to be an introduction to this issue. It's not supposed to be the end of the conversation. It's supposed to be the beginning of the conversation. We will both be around after the event and happy to talk to anybody who has further questions that we didn't get to. And I know that David would be happy to talk with you as well about all that he is working on to help the North Korean people. So once again, thank you very much. Thank you, David, for organizing this.
So I would like to close with this. We have to love Ji Sung Ho because he told me the other day he loves Cleveland weather. It's, of course, 110 degrees in Seoul, and this is like paradise for him. Thank you so much.